I think I want to start every day with Kristen and Clara. How's that? Just wonderful. Thank you. Good morning. Sorry, I'm a little loud. Welcome to Defiant and Determined Day. How's that? I'm wanting to celebrate the historic work of the Unitarian Universalist Service Committee, the global human rights organization supported by Unitarian Universalists. Welcome to worship here at the Unitarian Universalist congregation at Shelter Rock. I'm David Carl Olson. I serve here with the Reverend Israel Bufardi and our student minister, Madison Colquette, all of us under the care of our lead minister, the Reverend Dr. Natalie Fenimore. What a weekend we are having in this space. Yesterday, this house was filled with the energy of matrimony. You see some of the flowers here and there. Now you know why. And some of our members took the spirit of this place into rallies and demonstrations, including a massive showing at the Nassau County Courthouse. Powerful. Our congregation values the shared leadership of clergy and laity, and I'd like to invite a member of our Board of Trustees, Dana Gum, to join me at the pulpit. Dana?
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. If I could just stray from the script for a moment, I'd like to announce that we've completed our third project to remove invasive exotic plant species in our woodlands, as you can see right out here. And we've planted many native plants, so we're regenerating the forest, and it's very exciting. We've planted 405 trees, 355 shrubs, and 310 herbaceous plants. So it's a real springtime good news. And there's an old Japanese saying that I want to live in a community where old people plant trees. And I'm very proud to be part of this community where we're creating a sustainable natural environment in our beautiful property.
Yay.
Yeah, okay. Good.
Let's hear it for the pawpaws.
Thank you. Okay, so back to the script. All right, whether you're a visitor or a newcomer or a longtime member of this congregation, you're welcome here. Wherever you are in your spiritual journey, you are welcome here. If you'd like to work in the woods, you're welcome here. In this community, we use science. That's a novel idea. Reason and an open heart to explore life's many mysteries. To learn more about this congregation and Unitarian Universalism, please visit our welcome desk out in the lobby or go to our website, UUCSR.org. The Board of Trustees invites you into the fuller life of this congregation. Please join us for lunch in the social hall immediately following the service. If you're a first or second-time visitor, lunch is on us. Yes, there is such a thing as a free lunch. You will note in this service that we are at the beginning of our membership renewal period. Our membership committee will be sharing their stories throughout this month. Speak to one of them if you have any questions.
Next week is a full weekend. On Friday evening, Reverend Bufardi will lead Soulful Sundown with the Cosmic Orchestra and our featured artist, Haley Reardon. On Saturday, the Caring Committee hosts a spring self-care fair. Please register online or speak to me or Sharon Esposito. And on Sunday, we are delighted to present Reverend Chris Long from the UU Congregation of Baton Rouge, a wise and deeply spiritual justice leader.
All right, lots going on. At Shelter Rock, we aspire to be a loving religious community where we can grow spiritually and build a more just and joyful world. You're welcome to join us on this journey. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
In all the congregations that I have served, in Roxbury, in Dorchester, in Boston, Massachusetts, in Flint, Michigan, and in Baltimore, Maryland, I've had the distinct joy of having in all of my congregations Unitarian Universalist ministers who have provided me accompaniment and guidance along the way. Their presence has made me a better minister. I am so glad that here in Shelter Rock, my colleague and friend, Reverend Ned Wight, is a part of this community. I look forward to sharing this morning with him. These opening words from Adrian Rich. My heart is moved by all I cannot save. So much has been destroyed. I have to cast my lot with those who, age after age, perversely, with no extraordinary power, reconstitute the world.
The flaming chalice is perhaps the most recognized symbol of Unitarian Universalism. At the beginning of every worship service, no matter where they are, Unitarian Universalists light a chalice. But it wasn't always so. Today, you will find the flaming chalice in many forms, shapes, and sizes. You can find it on buildings, on clothing, on jewelry, and in many other places in and outside of Unitarian Universalist congregations. Back in 1939, a Unitarian minister and his wife, Martha and Waitstill Sharp, traveled to Europe on behalf of American Unitarians to see how they could help people targeted by the Nazis. The Nazis were becoming bolder in their discrimination and violence against Jewish people, gay people, Roma people, and people with disabilities. Martha and Waitstill helped people in danger get food and clothing and reach safety. They worked secretively, forging documents, even wearing disguises. This was the beginning of the Unitarian Service Committee, now the Unitarian Universalist Service Committee. Many people trying to escape the Nazis didn't have the papers they needed to travel to safer countries. So the Unitarian Service Committee decided to create their own documents and asked Austrian artist Hans Dusch, himself a refugee, to create a seal for the papers to make them look official. Hans created the flaming chalice, which was printed at the top of the documents issued by the Unitarian Service Committee to help people travel to safety. The flaming chalice, so important to Unitarian Universalists today, was founded on a brave and creative commitment to human rights. Today, the Unitarian Universalist Service Committee continues to support people targeted because of who they are or forced to flee their homes. And around the world, the flaming chalice continues to be a symbol of community, compassion, and justice.
So we will now light our own flaming chalice with words of Laura Randall, hope and defiance. The flaming chalice has been a symbol of hope and defiance in our faith and beyond it since the Unitarian Service Committee began using the image in 1940 as a beacon to those seeking safety, dignity, and justice. As we light this chalice today, may its signal continue to call all who seek a more just and loving world, and to connect us all who are working to make it so. Guided by this flame, I invite you to join me as we rise and sing together Love Will Guide Us, hymn number 131, and the words will also be on the screens. Love will guide us.
Open
Take a deep, love-filled breath. Just feel it passing through you. Take another one and imagine it's to the side and with everyone with whom you move forward in the world. And feel it in you. And from the earth to the sky, all that is can change the world with our love. Let's make a promise to one another and to that world by saying together our words of affirmation and singing together our song of affirmation. Love is the doctrine of this congregation. The quest for truth is its sacrament, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge in freedom, to serve human need. This do we affirm and covenant with each other. From all that dwell below the skies, where songs of faith and hope arise, let peace, goodwill on earth be sung through every land, by every tongue. Big breath. Stick your tuchus out and have a seat. That's meant affectionately. Shall we join our hearts in the spirit of meditation and prayer? This is a prayer for when everything crumbles to dust by Reverend A.J. Van Tinay. Great mystery which grounds and surrounds us, small spark of life and possibility that lives within us even when all else is crumbling to dust. Be with us in our confusion, fear, and even despair. Lead us to navigate them as slowly as possible, resisting the impulse to soothe, to blame, to seek things that feel better than the hurt and the heaviness, but which ultimately leave us isolated or complacent or too suspicious of each other. Let us not flee from our grief, but allow our hearts to be broken open again and again, grieving for all that has already been lost and all that is threatened now. Spirit of life and love and regeneration, help us to feel the wisdom in our bodies, even with so much going so wrong. Our hearts beat with gratitude for blessings, for beauty and joy stubbornly breaking through, for the compassionate companionship of community, which welcomes all that we bring with us in these times, and doesn't ask us to be smaller than we really are. For solidarity and mutual aid, for the trees and the wind and the stars, their cosmic witness soothing our animal souls, reminding us of the deep impermanence and the deep interconnectedness of all things. Spirit of transformation, may our hearts break open and stretch out to join with the hearts of others who yearn for a freer world, each heart a building block of a better society, each life lived for hope and resistance, a prayer for a nobler world. Amen. Ashe. Blessed be. I'm going to ask you, as you're able, to come forward and to light a candle. I'm going to ask you to light a candle of defiance and determination. I'm going to ask you to imagine the people who in your life have helped you to be defiant in the cause of the good, have been determined in spite of the smallness of every day, for you and for me and for all of us to live into our largest selves. You're welcome to come forward.
Human rights hold a powerful place in the UU vision for our world. Our readings, hymns, songs today cast a vision of the world as we long for it to be. We cherish these visions of a world transformed, knowing that we have a long way to go to get there, but inspired by the vision of what we believe to be possible. I think it's fair to say that human rights play a crucial role in our vision of the world we want to live in. They give shape to our longing for universal human dignity, fair and equal treatment for all people, regardless of who they might be. Where do our notions of human rights come from? Throughout human history, thoughtful people have been putting forward different ideas about human dignity, human freedom and its limitations, how to ensure fairness and justice in society. In 1948, the newly created United Nations undertook a bold and audacious task: to draft a universal declaration of human rights, to be approved by as many of the 58 nations then members of the UN as possible. 48 nations did so. The first article of the Declaration may be familiar to UUs or sound familiar to us. In any case, all human beings are born free and equal in dignity and rights. They are endowed with reason and conscience and shall act toward one another in a spirit of brotherhood. We would add sisterhood as well, and personhood. These are resonant with several of our own historic UU principles: the inherent worth and dignity of every person, justice, equity, and compassion in human relations, the right of conscience. Why do human rights even matter? Events around the world and here in the U.S. over the past few years make it clear to all how fragile the rule of law is, and how vulnerable all human rights are to threats from those who would curtail them or curb them entirely. Human rights are often at risk for people because they belong to a group that those holding power believe to be flawed or criminal or inferior or undeserving of respect or equal protection under the law. In my lifetime, I've seen this play out with redlining, denial of voting rights, disproportionate criminalization and police brutality because of race, unequal pay and diminished opportunities because of gender, and in my own case, denial of rights and dignity because of sexual orientation. I remember one instance in particular when I was serving as minister of Summit Unitarian Universalist Fellowship in El Cajon, California, near San Diego. The Grossmont School District was considering inclusion of sexual orientation in their anti-discrimination policies. When conservative faith leaders in the community heard about this, they rallied hundreds of people to come to the school board meeting to argue against it. People holding liberal views, including UUs, also turned out to speak, but in much smaller numbers. I sat there listening to diatribes from people young and old, telling me that gay people were perversions of the natural order, dangerous to children, mentally unbalanced, threats to society, that the school district should deny them full personhood and rights. And I sat there listening to that and thinking, they're talking about me. The conservative school board member then, that had engineered the huge turnout, had the audacity then to suggest that the board vote on the issue that night, even though it wasn't on the decision-making agenda. The majority of people have spoken, he argued. Gay people are a social evil that should be denied equal rights and preferably stamped out entirely. Fortunately, the chair resisted that affront to due process. This was a number of years ago. I wonder what the outcome of that meeting would be today. As we've been witnessing daily since January 20th, it's easy for people who have political power to use it or abuse it to trample on the rights of others. And it's incumbent on all citizens to resist such abuse. Human rights matter to each of us as human beings. They especially matter to each of us as Unitarian Universalists. And why is that? Because our theological roots and fundamental values put the inherent worth and dignity of every person at the heart of our faith. Standing up for our shared principles and values requires us to stand up for universal human rights. That's what was behind the mission of Waitstill and Martha Sharp in the late 30s when they first went to Czechoslovakia. As told in the compelling Ken Burns documentary, Defying the Nazis, the American Unitarian Association commissioned them to work on behalf of human rights in Europe in the face of prodigious threats and at great personal peril. And their efforts bore fruit. Against huge odds, they orchestrated the escape of hundreds of people at risk of Nazi arrest and execution. The Sharps worked miracles for human rights in a terrifying time. Since its beginning in those tumultuous times, the UU Service Committee has invited UUs to circle round, to support them as they continue to go where rights are at risk, and to find partners to help in common cause to defend those rights. We'll hear more about this work later in our service, but now I invite the choir to remind us why this work for human rights matters.
Circle round for freedom, circle round for peace, for all of us imprisoned, circle for release, circle for the planet, circle for each soul, for the children of our children. Keep the circle whole. Circle round for freedom. Circle round for peace. For all of us imprisoned. Circle for release. Circle for the planet, circle for each soul, for the children of our children. Keep the circle whole. Circle round for freedom, circle round for peace, for all of us imprisoned. Circle for release, circle for the planet, circle for each soul, for the children of our children. Keep the circle whole. Circle for the planet, circle for each soul, for the children of our children. Keep the circle whole.
Just let that live in your animal self, right in your body. Thank you. For some reason, my camera wants to come on. Come on. There we go. There we are. We have an opportunity each year to circle round for this community by renewing our membership and renewing in our hearts the commitment we have to this place and to all that it means to us. I'd love to invite Paul Dresner to come forward and to share with us a little bit about exactly where we are right now. Paul?
I was going to introduce myself, but I see him up on the screen, so I guess I don't have to. As an aside, going off the script for a second, we're hosting a Seder. I'm also on the member events committee next Sunday here at 5:30, so you're welcome to attend. Please check the quest or ask anybody on the committee so you can sign up and be at that event. Thank you. I'm going to go off the script one more time in the middle of this, but I'm going to read some of it. I'm the present chair of the membership committee. By linking giving to the month-long congregational theme of joy, the membership committee agreed that the joy of giving was to be the theme of the annual membership renewal and donation campaign. As a member of this congregation, I asked myself, what brings me joy? The services, the music, the programs, the community, teaching in RE. In my case, it is all of the above. Although, to put it more precisely, it's my ability to be involved and to help grow and shape the community by giving my time, my talent, and my treasure. Circumstances may sometimes call for the emphasis of one of those three T's over the other two, and that is okay. Reverend Wight alluded just before, and we're here in this service, of why it's important to be a member here at UUCSR. So I hope that we all take that seriously, and we don't have many calls to make after July 31 to encourage people to renew. Membership here is connected to a financial contribution, and I make that gladly, demonstrating my commitment to this community. We are set up in the social hall today and the month of April, under the clock, with renewal cards, a computer, and a handout that describes the new membership bylaws and revised process for renewing membership. I also remind you that we will have a special event in April regarding membership, and I'm not going to mention anything more about that, but it is in April. Let me end my introduction to the membership renewal with a quote from Anne Frank. With insight way beyond what one would expect of an adolescent, she wrote, "No one has ever become poor by giving." Thank you.
Thank you, Paul. And of course, we're talking about membership renewal, but if you are a person who would like to become a member, speak to Paul also, or speak to one of the ministers. We would love to add you to our numbers. Each Sunday, we share an opportunity toward living our Unitarian Universalist values in the world by acts of generosity. This month, we invite you to make a contribution to the Edward Miller Memorial Scholarship Fund. Since June 2004, the fund has honored Miller, our music director from 1943 through 1997, and provided direct financial assistance to graduating high school music students here in Nassau County. Please give by the means that are listed in the order of service or on the screen. If presenting a check or cash, please place it in the collection box out in the main lobby. Please be generous. Thank you. And now these few words of Wendell Berry. The larger circle. We clasp the hands of those that go before us.
In the hands of those who come after us.
We enter the little circle of each other's arms.
And the larger circle of lovers whose hands are joined in a dance.
And the larger circle of all creatures.
Passing in and out of life, who move also in a dance.
To a music so subtle and vast that no ear hears it.
Except in fragments.
Circle for the planet. Circle for each soul. For the children of our children, keep the circle whole. From you I receive, to you I give, together we share. We enter the little circle of each other's arms and the larger circle of lovers whose hands are joined in a dance. Thousands of people joined in a dance yesterday in Nassau County, hundreds of thousands across New York State, millions across the country, circling round for each other, for our children, for our future. When I stood with dozens from this congregation in front of the county courthouse and along Old County Road in Mineola, I heard the calls for hands off. Hands off our democracy, many chanted. And I saw more than one sign that warned of a growing threat of Nazi ideas. Personally, I am reluctant to call anything Nazi. I live my political life in a place where some people too freely use that pejorative, and I live my religious life in a place where I encounter people who have known firsthand and in their families what an actual Nazi regime has done. I do not use that word easily. But as I saw our people gathering to say, hands off, I imagined that we were calling for resistance against the normalization of authoritarianism and authoritarian practices. I heard a call for the human rights of all kinds of people in our country and around the world, and it caused me to perceive a link between our Shelter Rock social action and our Unitarian Universalist Service Committee. Reverend Laura Randall says this: 85 years ago, in the face of rising Nazi repression, Unitarians imagined a larger circle in a different world, a different response from the U.S. isolationism that was the status quo of that day. They knew there were people who cared about human rights across the country and around the world. They asked themselves how they could be in community with those who shared their vision. And perhaps most importantly, they asked themselves what they were willing to risk to live their values in the world. By wrestling with these questions together, they chose to form and support the Unitarian Service Committee. She continues, for 85 years, our Unitarian Universalist Service Committee has been working in partnership with those most directly hurt by injustice to imagine a different world, a beloved community where every person's rights are honored and protected. We joined the migrant workers in Texas in the 1940s as they fought against exploitation. We launched desegregation projects in Georgia and Florida in 1960. In 1978, UUSC sponsored the first congressional fact-finding mission to El Salvador as violence there escalated. Personal note, I remember our building that relationship with Tip O'Neill and others. In the 1980s, we sent emergency funds to ease the Ethiopian famine long before the story reached mainstream U.S. airways. We sent emergency medical equipment to Rwanda in the 1990s and then launched the Drumbeat for Darfur campaign in the 2000s to help end the genocide in Sudan. And in 2010, we went to Haiti to assist with immediate relief after the earthquake and to continue strong partnerships with Haitian organizations today as they work for long-term recovery and a true democracy led by the Haitian people. Now, UUSC works with organizations across the world, contending with new forms of oppression and threat. In Central America, Mexico, and the United States, we're on the forefront of migrant justice as we seek security for people who wish to remain in their home countries, safety for those traveling along the migrant trail, and justice once people reach the United States. We partner with First and Indigenous communities in the South Pacific, in Louisiana, in Alaska, who are on the front lines of the climate change crisis as their homes and ways of life are threatened by rising sea levels and rising temperatures. We are working with the Rohingya Muslims and other ethnic minorities in Burma, Myanmar, as they seek both justice and survival following the military coup of 2021. We partner with organizations in Ukraine and Eastern Europe who are working to serve Black, queer, and Roma refugees who are often disregarded by larger aid agencies. And we work to find security and welcome for trans, two-spirit, and gender-expansive people in the United States who are forced to flee their homes due to increasing legislative and social violence. Reverend Randall continues, sometimes, more than sometimes lately, things can feel hopeless. Like the world is moving farther and farther away from our values, from all the progress we have tried to make, as people with a lot of power and little morality try to make cruelty and greed the center of our collective institutions and our society. Now, the United States Holocaust Memorial Museum recounts the story of Martha and Waitstill this way. In Czechoslovakia, the Sharps were welcomed by the American embassy, grateful that there were Americans willing to assist with the desperate needs of refugees in the area. Working closely with British Quakers, Waitstill and Martha Sharp assisted hundreds of refugees by providing money and other humanitarian aid. Only a few weeks after the Sharps' arrival, Nazi Germany invaded, occupied, and annexed the remainder of Czechoslovakia, including Prague. The Sharps needed police to help them enter their offices that first morning, and Waitstill had to remind the gathered Jewish refugees that the offices were not American territory and the Unitarians were not an immigration agency. Yet the couple decided to start assisting individual immigration cases whenever they could. The Sharps took risks and faced great danger. In one case, Martha accompanied a group of refugees fleeing Nazi territory on a long train ride towards freedom in Great Britain, managing to prevent their arrests by invoking her protected status as an American citizen. By late summer, with their every move tracked by the Gestapo, it was clear that they could not remain safely in Prague. Waitstill, who had traveled to Switzerland, had his re-entry papers revoked, and Martha narrowly escaped Gestapo arrest to join him there. They returned to the United States at the end of August 1939, just days before World War II broke out for our country. Less than a year later, the Sharps left their children again and returned to Europe. The Sharps planned to open their UUSC offices in France, but before they arrived in France, Nazi Germany occupied Paris. Instead, the couple opened an office in Lisbon, since thousands of refugees were flooding neutral Portugal, hoping to find safety and a ship to take them to the United States. They focused on aid to political refugees, people who had spoken out against Nazism in Germany or fascism in Spain, and whom other organizations were reluctant to help, as well as academics and scientists and intellectuals. While Waitstill Sharp spent most of his time in Lisbon, Martha Sharp worked at a new Unitarian Service Committee office in Marseille, which was the primary port in unoccupied France from which refugees could escape. End of quotation. I marvel at the lengths and the limits of the professions that some of us pursue. Martha Sharp was a practicing social worker. Who taught her to challenge government and military officials at border crossings, to include every dissident who accompanied her? Who taught her to threaten to bring in embassy officials to end a dispute over the safe travel of Jewish children? Where did she learn to claim her own power and that of her organization and her faith? Waitstill Sharp was a Unitarian minister, called to serve the leafy suburbs of Wellesley Hills. How did he learn to cooperate with those working underground? Who taught him to forge documents and wear disguises and sometimes misrepresent his ministry? How did he choose that the moral thing was sometimes the illegal thing? Waitstill and Martha ask us to be defiant and determined, to stand up and say, hands off human rights, to organize with one another the most powerful response we may make in those places where our faith may be of service. Now, you know that this congregation is a major supporter of the Unitarian Universalist Service Committee. As a matter of fact, if you were to watch some of the videos that were prepared by the UUSC for this service, held in congregations all around the country this spring, there is a special thank you to the Unitarian Universalist congregation at Shelter Rock. A special thank you to you. My ask of you is to personally show that you will join Waitstill and Martha and me. That you too will be defiant and determined. That you will personally become a member of the UUSC by making a donation at UUSC.org. By doing so, you will then receive directly news of the ways our faith is being put into action in partnership around the world. Reverend Randall concludes her thoughts this way: in the face of genocide, religious persecution, political assassination, and all the worst atrocities the human imagination has ever devised, it was an act of indescribable courage for these people to hope for a different world. It's a hope born of courage and determination, a hope, as Brazilian poet and theologian Rubem Alves writes, that is a hunch that the overwhelming brutality of facts that oppress and repress are not the last word. Bless the earth and all your children, one creation, make us whole. As the circle of the seasons progresses, as the earth awakens, as our hearts are warmed, as we respond to the invitation to be defiant and determined, let us sing our closing hymn, number 207 in the gray hymnal, Earth Was Given as a Garden. The lyrics will be projected on the screens. Shall we together rise as we are able in spirit and in body?
Yes. Earth was given
benediction, words of Kimberly Quinn Johnson, who serves our congregation in Bridgehampton on the east end of Long Island, fitted for this day. We are the ones we have been waiting for. We are not perfect, but we are perfectly fitted for this day. We are not without fault, but we can be honest to face our past as we chart a new future. We are the ones we have been waiting for. May we be bold and courageous to chart that new future. May we have faith in a future that is not known. We are the ones we have been waiting for.